welcome back to another video. I would firstly like to thank everyone for all their support, watching my videos, commenting, liking, sending me messages. Everyone has been really, well, most people have been really nice, the majority. And thank you to everyone who has sent little gifts to Wayne's Transport for me. I really do appreciate it. I've asked for a few questions from you guys for me to answer on this video as like a Q&A session. I'm really struggling with my workload at the moment to reply to messages and comments and get back to people, and I thought this might be a really good way of answering any questions that are unanswered. Although I will say that my mum has started to reply to everybody's comments, so if you do have a reply from a Jeanette Warren, that is my mum, and she's trying her best to help me out answering comments. She's a funny one. She's doing a great job. The lights are because it's this weird bit between Christmas and New Year and I haven't taken them down, although they will be out of the truck before the start of next year. So the first question. Hi Gemma, love your videos. My question is, do you ever not feel safe when staying in your cab overnight? And what, if any, safety measures does your company put in place to keep you and other drivers as safe as possible whilst being out? To be honest, I think you've got just as much danger of being broken into in your cab as you do at home. I've never had any problems. Touch wood, I've never had any diesel pinched, although I did have a curtain sider on back along and I did have the curtain cut on an industrial estate, which was a bit annoying. I've never felt unsafe. I just shut the curtains, lock the doors. Hi Gemma, question for a dog walker here. Is it best to keep talking at a normal volume as we pass cab parked up for the night on an industrial estate, or just pause until we are past? Might sound an odd question, but we're always torn between trying not to disturb you guys and also trying not to freak you out or appear sneaky. Honestly, it don't bother me. To be fair, somebody walking past talking is not as bad as being parked up in a lay-by on the side of a busy A road with traffic going past all night. So I really won't worry. Although what I would say is just have a really interesting conversation. Question from Mini Eggs, bit off topic being Christmas. Where can I buy your first children's book? Because you should definitely write one with your great storytelling abilities. Move over J.K. Rowling. Do you know what? Something I've never really thought about too much, but I would actually love to do something like that. My problem at the moment is time. I don't have any time to myself, but maybe one day I will have time. But I keep saying that about everything. Maybe one day I will have time. This one has come up a few times, so I shall answer it now. Have you thought of getting your own tractor and going self-employed? All the time. The problem with going self-employed as a truck driver with your own tractor unit and possibly trailer, it costs a lot of money. So it's not like, say, if I was a hairdresser or a plasterer or electrician or something like that. The actual setup cost to get yourself going is quite small. Sometimes maybe under 10 grand. It certainly wouldn't be any more than 20 grand. With truck driving, you need at least 8 grand in the bank for your first truck, and that's money that you cannot touch to keep the traffic commissioner happy. Then you need to buy your truck, so you need something reliable. A reliable truck is quite expensive. You'd be looking at sort of 40 grand. Then you need somewhere to put it. Then you need to think about if you want a trailer, which might be another 20 grand. Then you've got to think about all your insurances, tax. It's a big cost commitment to start with. And yes, you can pick lorries up for about 15 grand, but will they be more reliable? If I was going to set up my own business, I'd want something super reliable. Then you've got to think about your 6 weekly inspections, your MOTs, stuff like that, your parts and repairs and tyres. It's an expensive game to get into. Sometimes I think I will never get there. The next one. Well, I've learnt so much from your videos. What's it like being famous now, at least in your watchers' eyes? I don't feel very famous. I can't really get it through my head that all the video views and stuff are actually people who watch the video. I always find it quite strange. It's just a number on a screen. I have been spotted a few times out and about. Been spotted in Morrison's and around Bridgewater. During Carnival, I got spotted quite a bit. Normally, if Ryan's with me, he just laughs. He just thinks it's really funny that I get spotted. And my friends find it really funny as well. But I suppose that's a good thing because at least it keeps me grounded. Normally when somebody does spot me out and about, I look a mess, like I'm just running in for a shower or scoffing my lunch. Or I've been working on the house all day and I'll pop into town looking like an absolute mess, and that's when somebody will spot me. Another question. Where is the furthest you've travelled in a working week? I have travelled to Poland in my truck. This truck actually. I went to Poland in. I did a load of aid out to Ukraine and we went to the Polish-Ukraine border. I went up to Durham to load and then we caught the Newcastle to Holland ferry. Went straight across Holland, through Germany and straight through Poland. The next question. What other little essentials do you take that may be forgotten? It wasn't until I saw your videos I realised I could microwave water for a brew in a jug. Just totally overlooked it. I try and keep my appliances down as much as possible, which is why I know a lot of people say, oh, you can get a kettle. Well, yeah, I know you can get a kettle, but I've got something that boils water already. I don't really want extra appliances cluttering up what is a small space anyway. Other essentials. Cable ties and tape always comes in handy. Things to fix stuff so that you can get yourself out of a situation. My hair ties have come in handy quite a lot. Cups are always really handy because you can eat out of them and drink out of them. Baby wipes. I do have a head torch as well. That comes in quite handy sometimes. I think everything I use, I've probably shown you at some point on a video. Hi Gemma, my question is, have you had any really oh no moments when you first started HGV driving that you have to go through whilst you are getting your experience? I'm hoping to start my first HGV job with Muller in the new year. Just waiting for my assessment. Well, actually, my first ever job was with a company called Wiseman's, picking up milk from farm. Wiseman's is now called Muller. So I think you'd be fine if you're doing farm collection. I was with Wiseman's for 8 years and I absolutely loved that job. Yeah, you will have oh no moments. Most of them are absolutely fine and it's just you panicking for no reason. When you first start driving, I would say the first couple years, you always get like these hot sweats. When you get into situations where people are waiting for you to back into somewhere and you're like getting really nervous, it is something that will go away over time. Like I don't care at all now. If I don't panic, I will do it a lot quicker, even when I'm taking my time. There was a few times where you go down a lane that you've been told that is fine and you keep going and you go, oh my god, and then you go for a Ford or something and you're thinking, oh no, this ain't gonna work, I'm never gonna get through here, and then you come out the other side and you're fine. When I was on the milk, we did have quite a bit of snow, and trying to drive a milk tanker in the snow is quite hard work, especially with the milk stopping about in there. Yeah, getting dragged in and out of farms. I slid right past a farm once. I wasn't even going very fast. It was coming down a slope, put my foot on the brake and nothing happened. I just slid right past it in slow motion. Especially with our lanes down in the southwest, it could be quite dodgy at times. A milk tanker from another firm, brand new, went down a lane, managed to spin round in the lane and get wedged sideways. I've already learned a lot from your videos, but I suppose one thing I would like to know is, do you find it stressful? I think I'd always be anxious about being somewhere on time and worried that I'd make it to an overnight halt before my hours ran out. Yes. Yeah, I think that's probably, you summed up the most stressful part of the job there. Trying to juggle what you need to do with your driving hours and just being really efficient with your hours. It can get on top of you sometimes, and especially if you hit a bit of traffic or have a few hold-ups, then it can become stressful. I get why the hours are there, because otherwise people would run day and night with no sleep, which would be dangerous. But it's also really dangerous for drivers to rush to get to somewhere to park up because their time's running out. And especially with the lack of parking in the UK, it forces people to end up doing that. But unless they sort out the lack of parking, then you're always going to feel like that, I think. Hi Gemma, you might already covered this, but what's your regular working schedule like? It's 2 weeks on, 1 week off, work every week. Seems like you work an awful lot during the week. My working hours are Monday to Friday every single week, and then I will do, I think it's 1 in 6 Saturdays, and we get asked to run out Sundays sometimes as well. And obviously there is a risk of being stuck out on a Friday night as well, which to be fair hasn't happened for a little while. Managed to just scrape back into the yard by minutes. Been quite lucky lately. Love the videos from Australia. So this is somebody who lives in Australia. Where would you love to be a truckie if not the UK? I'd love to have a go at trucking in Australia, but the one place that I would really fancy just going to live and work, I follow a lot of girls on Instagram that come from Sweden, Norway, Finland, that sort of area, probably around that area of the world. I just like the way they do things. They're just cool people. Whilst you are doing carnival, what time do you normally need to be there for the checks and then the actual carnival? Normally the carnival will start about 7 and we will get down there for about 3ish, but it depends on the carnival as well. Sometimes there's more to do than other carnivals. It depends what happened the carnival before, if we had problems. I suppose normally it's about 4 hours before. Hi Gemma, always wondered, do you ever get stressed, nervous about certain places you have to drive to that are difficult or dangerous? You always seem so calm and stress-free, but I know it would worry the hell out of me not knowing if I could access difficult places or manoeuvre without messing up, especially if people are watching. I think this is one of those things where I used to get really stressed with stuff like that when I first started driving, but it will be what it will be. Some of the jobs, if I've been there before and I know they're a pain, I might get a bit like, oh, why me? When I first started driving, when people are watching, it makes it a bit more stressful. It depends who's watching. It depends who's watching. I used to. I don't anymore get stressed with stuff like that because I'm quite level-headed and just taking my time, and it will take as long as it takes. And I always think if you try to rush something that is quite difficult, that's when you mess up. So you might as well take your time and do it right first time. Next one, how do you cope with potential tiredness when you're working pretty long hours? I always make sure I try to get as much sleep as possible. Once I park up, I will try and get my sleep. Also try and get a decent sleep before I start on a Monday. If I do feel tired whilst I'm driving, what I will do is pull into the next available stop, set my alarm for 10 minutes, have a little nap, and that normally sorts me out and I'm absolutely fine. Depends on yourself. You know your own body, you know your own mind. I can't even remember the last time I had to have a little nap because I felt that tired. Question, why do depots not operate nighttime hours more generally? It would seem it would give you more flexibility and potentially better for the environment. I totally agree. I would love them to be open longer. I don't really have the answer for that. I don't really know why they don't do it. It'd be a lot easier for us. There are quite a few places that are open early and will stay open late, and they are the places that we really, really like. Gemma, I have always wanted to know, how long does it take you to get around the whole of Bridgewater Carnival circuit? Depends how many people break down. No, there can be some hold up. Some people have medical emergencies, stuff like that, which can hold the procession up. I think this year was probably one of the best years we've had. 2 to 3 hours, I would say, in general. Hi Gemma, thank you for the videos. I do enjoy them. You sometimes mention traction when faced with a bit of an incline. Could you please explain? Sometimes if you're going up a bit of an incline, depending on the ground surface, sometimes when you're loaded especially, you might not be able to get traction. I do have a button that it won't lift the mid-lift, because I've got mid-lift on mine opposed to a tag which lifts the back axle up. Mine lifts the middle axle, so when I'm empty I can lift that middle axle and that will give me more traction on the ground. When I'm loaded, that axle will not come up because the weight of the load is too heavy. But what I have got is a weight transfer button. So the weight transfer button will just transfer more weight onto the drive axle to give you more traction to get up on like a wet surface. Maybe there's like loose stone, uneven surface, something like that. I've also got a diff lock, but I very, very rarely need to use that. Hi Gemma, how different does the Carnival tug feel to drive each year with different motor movements? Very good question. Doesn't make any difference whatsoever, to be honest. Doesn't make any difference. I mean, obviously what's in front of you is a bit different to look at. And like this year, we had a moving part over our head, which for quite a few years now, we've just had a platform. No, it doesn't feel any different. Hi Gemma, loved the videos. If trucking was not an option anymore, what job would you like to do? Do you know what? I've been trucking for so long now that I actually don't know what I would do. I've always been really, really into the arts, and I think I would probably do something artistic, possibly, if I couldn't be a truck driver. The reason I feel more comfortable being a truck driver than maybe doing the arts, one thing that I couldn't stand with the arts and stage and stuff like that is the loveys. And if you don't know what a lovey is, it's when people are like, hi darling, how are you? Oh my God, you are fabulous. Ugh. It is the most annoying thing and I cannot stand it. So that's the only thing that would put me off going back into like the artsy stuff, is people being like that. Fake. Ugh. I think I'd make quite a good director or a editor. I'm not the best at being in front of the camera. With my background growing up in gymnastics and dance, doing circus and stuff like that, I know how to put on a show, but I'm much better, I think, at being behind the camera than I am in front of the camera. Gemma, my whole family love your channel. Thank you very much. We'd love to ask, have you ever forgotten to fold your grain sock? Don't think I have, because if I didn't fold it, it wouldn't fit on my trailer. I have to fold it. Hi Gemma, hope you're okay. My question is, would you recommend lorry driving to anyone, and what kind of trucking industry would you say is best, as I'm thinking about doing my lessons when I'm old enough? Would I recommend truck driving to everybody? No. It can be very mentally challenging. So if you're not somebody who is good at being on your own for long periods of time, this job is not for you. If you're not good at organising yourself, working things out for yourself, problem solving yourself, you know, this job is not going to be for you if you're not that sort of person. And it would be unfair for you to go through all that training if you're not that sort of person. But if you are, then go for it. What kind of trucking industry would you say is the best? Well, I like the farm collection delivery side of things. Anything that doesn't involve going into the middle of a city is good for me. I'd rather be out in the back end of nowhere in a tight country lane than in a city. But apparently I'm strange for thinking that. It depends on what suits you as a person. Hi Gemma, 2 questions. How serious is the daily inspection of the truck? I understand that a visual look around is necessary. Is there a list you need to complete? Is it required by law? Do you have to keep a track record of your working, driving time, paper or logbook outside of your taco? Quite a lot of questions there. It is a visual walk around look and it is very important. It has to be completed properly, and if you miss something then you could be in a lot of trouble. It is required by law, and that is why we keep a record that we have done our daily checks. We do have a list of stuff that we need to check in our daily checks book, and when I'm going around I do check all of that. We don't have to keep any other records apart from our tacho. It is quite useful to keep a diary just in case you do go over your time or something like that, and you can put your printouts from your tacho into that book with a little note explaining what happened. Write down your hours just as a safeguard, but it's not required by law that you do anything outside of your tacho. It's just recommended. Hi Gemma, bit of a different question. What's your favourite genre of music? Do you have a favourite band or singer? I've always really liked Pink. On one hand, I like music that you can get up and dance to that has no meaning to it. On the other hand, I quite like songs where it does have a meaning and a story to it. So yeah, I kind of like anything really. Hi Gemma, have you ever driven your truck in Europe? How hard is it to drive on the wrong side of the road? Like I said earlier, I did a trip over to Poland. It's not hard to drive on the wrong side of the road. I know I've got quite a few people who watch from different countries in Europe, so you'll be saying that we drive on the wrong side of the road. After your first roundabout, you're kind of all right, and you're kind of thinking, right, this is what I need to do, and you're constantly overthinking it. It's not too bad. It's when you get back into the UK, and then you've got to do it back our way, but because you've been thinking about doing it their way so much, you can't get it through your head to drive normally again. So yeah, it's more difficult when you come back than when you go over. Next question, you seem to concentrate on more agricultural side of haulage. What attracted you to this? I think it's more just down to my first job doing milk tankers. I just really enjoyed it. It just seemed really natural to me, I think. I mean, my mum grew up on a farm, so we were kind of brought up in that sort of, with that mindset. I lived on a farm for quite some time. I think it's just what I got used to from the start. Hi Gemma, I'm thinking of taking my C and E licence next year, but worried about reversing the trailer. Do you have any tips? Everything you ever do is hard to start with. That's the way I always think of things. It can only get easier with practice, and it's practice. Get as much practice with the reversing as you possibly can, and you'll be absolutely fine. Hi Gemma, can you recommend anywhere Dorset, Devon area for HGV training? I'm in Poole but can travel. There are quite a lot of HGV driving schools around. The training company that I first passed with are not around anymore. They were a bit dodgy, which is why they're not around anymore. I did both my licenses off my own back. Next question, when do you start building the carnival cart? Oh, apparently it's nearly stripped down now. I've not been down there since we put the cart away. The thing is, once it's stripped down, that's the first job. The next job is to get the money in to build the cart for next year. I know what theme we're doing next year, and I'm really, really excited about it. It's something that I have wanted to do for so long. The theme is always top secret, so I can't say anything, but oh, it's going to be so good. I want to say why you guys are going to love it, but then it's going to be obvious. Hello Gemma, how many miles has the rig done, bearing in mind the moon is 250,000 miles away? Right, I've got my printout here, and my truck has done 373,000 Ks. With trucks, they're normally set in Ks, so I'm not really sure how much that is in miles, but I can check. My truck has done 373,000 Ks, and that comes out at 231,791 miles. It is short by just over 18,000 miles. I reckon by March I may have done 250,000, which is to the moon. My question is, what made you choose trucking, and where do you see yourself in 10 years? The trucking came about because of Carnival, and I wanted to drive the Carnival cart. Where do I see myself in 10 years? I have no idea. Absolutely no idea. When I was younger, I thought I'd grow up, get married, get a house, have some children, and live happily ever after. But life doesn't really work out that way, and loads of things get thrown in your face and you end up just making the best of things. So in the next 10 years, I shall just keep making the best of things and see where it takes me. Magical mystery tool, just like my job. So the next one. Hi Gemma, have you ever had problems arriving at a pickup late and running out of hours? Yes. It's really difficult sometimes, but you cannot control things like traffic, roadworks, accidents. It can be really stressful sometimes. It's always important to pick up the phone if you can and let somebody know that you're going to be late. Sometimes somebody might stay on for you. In regards to running out of hours, if you explain to them that you are late but you may run out of hours there and won't be able to get somewhere to park up, which will mean that you either need to stay on site or won't be able to get to a parking spot for the night, it's then up to them whether they let you go and collect and stay on site, or you pick it up in the morning. And you've given them an option then. That's all you can do. So next question. How do you juggle being away from Ryan and the house with the anxiety feelings that I know I would get? I've been tramping since before I was with Ryan, so he's always known me as being a tramper. I think the difficult thing would be is if I was home every night and he had to put up with me every night. When I first met Ryan, it was a really nice dynamic that I was away all week, because he used to have his kids 50-50 and they got their dad to themselves all week while I was away. The kids are now all left school and they're all doing their own thing. It's harder now, me being away for him, than it is for me being away, because nothing's changed for me. So the next question is a bit of a long-winded question, but it's basically asking if truck driving is a well-paid job. Certainly down in the southwest, the hourly rate isn't very good, but you do a lot of hours and that's what makes your money up, and you also get your night out rate, which pushes it up a little bit. I wouldn't say it's a well-paid job. When you actually work it out and work out how many hours you do to what you get paid, it's not brilliant, but because you do the hours, it makes it worthwhile. So the next question I've kind of covered with the miles on the trucks. When she gets too old for the job, are there any contingency plans for a replacement? My boss is talking about getting me a new truck next year sometime. Whether I actually get it next year or whether it will turn up the year after, I don't know. So I don't think anything's been ordered as yet, but we'll see. This truck is just over 3 years old, so it's not really that old yet. I would expect to keep it for about 5 before getting a new one anyway, so if I get one next year, I've had one early, really. So the next question. Gemma, when did you start working for Wayne's? What is the first truck I drove, and have I done loads to Cornwall, and have I done a video on it? So I've been working for Wayne's now for about 7 years. My first truck that I had when I first started working for Wayne's was an MAN. Have I done loads to Cornwall? And have I videoed it? I'm pretty sure I did some blower loads down to Cornwall that I filmed. I can't really remember which video that's on. Not sure. Sometime in the summer. I think it poured down with rain actually. Hi Gemma, have you ever thought about doing international work? Yes, all the time. Because I have been abroad in a truck before, I have had a bit of experience in what it's like, and I really, really enjoyed it. It was a bit nerve-wracking the first time, once you start going over there, but as soon as I come back, I just wanted to go again. This one, Gemma, you have driven a number of different trucks. What improvements would you like to see that would make your life on the road better, apart from a shower and a flushing toilet? Well, I wouldn't want a shower and a flushing toilet in my truck, personally. It's just too small. This is already my sleeping area, my working area, my eating area. I really wouldn't want a toilet in that area as well. Next question is a really, really long-winded question, but basically it's saying, what would I do if I won £160 million? Well, I'd hand my notice in. I'd probably work my notice, to be fair, knowing me. Probably because I'd want to drive the truck for another week. Oh, I'm an idiot. I would probably then book a holiday to go and think about what I would do with the money. Because it's all right saying, oh, I'll do this, I'll do that. But when it really comes down to it, you really need to think about that sort of money. One thing I'd love to do is build a big shed for the Carnival Club, with enough space to drive in one side and drive out the other side, so it's nice and easy, with a weigh bridge that will weigh the whole car, brake testing, pit, loads of room for fiberglassing and woodwork and mechanics and welding and stuff like that. I'd also obviously buy some trucks. I could have my dream truck, but I'd probably keep working as well. I'd probably keep my hand in with work, but just not working as many hours as I do now. I would have a work-life balance. There's a few places around the world that I'd love to go and see. I've got quite a lot of good friends that have been good friends for a long time, so I'd also like to help them out as well. Love to pay off my sister's mortgage, give my mum and dad a holiday. Simple things, really. Oh, and I'd like to get my house finished. I might even offer Aaron to buy Wayne's transport. That's the sort of stupid thing I'd do. He wouldn't mind. Ian put his feet up on holiday for the rest of his life, acting like Joey Essex. There's a few repeat questions here, so I'm just going to skip over those because I have kind of answered them already. Have you finished the house renovations yet? I think we've probably got another year on it. Trouble is, because I'm away all week, it makes it really difficult when I'm home just for the weekend. There's other stuff that needs doing in life as well as the house renovations. Next question. Love the videos. It would be good if you could tell us how you work out your rest periods, working hours. I would love to do a proper video on working hours. If I explain just little bits, I think it would get a bit confusing. I will at some point do a proper video on the whole of the driver's hours, but I need a lot of time to prepare it, and time is something I really don't have at the moment. Hopefully in the future I will be able to do a proper video on driver's hours. Hi Gemma, being a Somerset girl, which county gets the cream tea right? I don't care. I don't care. I'd literally put it both on and swirl it around. It all tastes the same. I've seen a lot of videos on the internet where Arctic tippers fall over. What precautions do you take before tipping? As you've seen on some of my videos where I do aggregate, when I open the back door for a tailboard tip, I will check the load to make sure it's central before I tip it. Obviously being on flat ground helps as well. Sometimes I've moved many a time because I'm not happy with it not being flat enough. Next question. Love the videos, thank you. I am getting closer to my dream job. Was meant to have my class 2 test today, but DVSA person was sick, so had to cancel. Oh, that's a shame. Well, I'm glad my videos have helped you, and hopefully second time lucky. Next question. Hi Gemma, do you record your hours you do with Carnival as a manual entry, i.e. other work? Well, it's not other work, it's a hobby. From what we've been told, it doesn't count towards our hours at all, although if they did change the rules and it did count towards our hours, I take holiday for it anyway. The hours that I do for Carnival wouldn't make me over my hours, but it is exempt. I don't get paid for it. No prize money. It's my hobby. Just like if somebody did banger racing, they wouldn't have to record their hours, or drove to Scotland on a weekend in your own car, you wouldn't have to record that either. Hi Gemma, my question is, if you weren't on the tippers, what other type of job would you do, and have you ever used walking floors? I really like doing farm work, so I would like to stick to farm work, although there are a lot of different types of farm work. I've never used a walking floor trailer before. I wouldn't mind doing some like forestry stuff actually. I've always quite fancied forestry. That would be another choice, I guess. Hi Gemma, is the carnival truck the largest and most difficult you have driven? The carnival cart is the most difficult vehicle I've ever had to drive, by far. One of the questions is here, what's your solution to HGVs on public roads that are too small for two HGVs to pass each other? Make sure you're good at reversing. So the next one, hey Gemma, where has been the most difficult farmyard you have had to get in and out of? Dairy farms tend to be the difficult, more slippery ones to get in and out of. I can't actually think of one offhand that has been particularly difficult. Hi Gemma, are there any areas of the country you dread to go to? And again, are there places you head to that you know you're safe at? There are some bits that I dread to go to because they are, and the roads are a nightmare, like going down to Kingsbridge or around sort of Torrington area can be a bit challenging sometimes and places like that, but I wouldn't say they're unsafe like that, how you're probably implying. There are a few places that I quite like going to if I can get parked up by the sea or nice quiet scenery, stuff like that. That's always nice. Probably London. I don't really like going to London. I wouldn't say I dread it, but I'd rather not go anywhere near London if I can help it. So next question, what do you love about being a truck driver and being part of Vagabonds Carnival Club? I like the freedom of being a truck driver. And with Vagabonds, it's something I've grown up with. It's my family and I've made a lot of friends within Carnival. Hi Gemma, do you drive road trains over there like we do in Australia? No, our road networks are not set up for road trains at all. The biggest we'd get is the carnival cart. We do have oversized loads that will go around, but they're very well planned out. Okay, next question. For someone wanting to get their Class 1 licence, how easy is it for a newbie to get a job with a company? I would prefer bulker work, I think, rather than pallet drops. It can be quite difficult depending on your age and experience. But what I would say is for your first 2 years while you get experience, just take what you can. Next question, what is it like just seeing your partner for a couple of nights? Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. No, I'm joking. I do miss him. Although he is quite a fidgeter, so I do get a better night's sleep in the truck. Next question. I'm wanting to do a custom Scania long line. Any custom ideas? I do prefer a long line to a ball nose, personally. Controversial. But no, I don't have any custom ideas. So, next question. I don't see you using sat-nav. Or do you? And how the hell do you find these little farms tucked away in the middle of nowhere? I don't use a sat-nav. I have got an inbuilt sat-nav with this Scania. I've used it a handful of times. Normally if it's bad traffic, it can give you traffic updates. So that's quite good on it. But generally, I just find it quite annoying, so I don't have it on. Normally what I do is I check Google Maps before I leave. Most of the areas of the country I go to, I've been there before. I kind of understand the road networks. I sometimes write down the junctions that I have to get off at and the roads I need to take, just to remind me if it's somewhere I'm not that sure of. Certainly with farm work, I would prefer not to use any sort of sat-navs. I will ring the farmer and get solid directions from the farmer with landmarks and stuff like that I can see as I'm going along. That's how we normally do farm work. If you start using a sat-nav, that's when you get in trouble. I would never go to a farm without ringing the farmer first. This one's got a lot of questions on it, so I'm going to go for one of them. Where's the furthest north you've been in your truck? I've been to a whiskey distillery right at the top of Scotland before. We used to do quite a bit into Scotland, and then we used to do something out of a whiskey distillery down. Like a byproduct of making whiskey goes into animal feed. So used to pick that up and bring it back down. We don't actually go to Scotland very much anymore. I haven't been for some time. So next question, what sort of work will you do as an owner operator, and will you become one? It depends what sort of work is available at the time of looking. To be honest, I'd be happy to do anything. Obviously I could buy a bulker trailer and pick up work from companies like Wayne's, or I could go out and find my own work, which would mean thinking about what trailer I would buy, whether it would be different from the bulker or not, but I would be open to anything really. Question, what is your tea of choice? Whatever they've got in Aldi. It's a bit of hit and miss in there. Generally I do like Yorkshire tea if I can get hold of it. Next question. Hi Gemma, obviously I know you drive a Scania, but have you driven many other makes? You had a new DAF the other day for the day. How did that compare to the Scania? Real shame you didn't do it on a video. Yeah, when I took that new DAF out, I had it for one load, and a very local load, so I was in it for a couple hours. It was a really nice truck actually. I was really impressed with it, so I wouldn't give my Scania up for it. I have driven other makes and models on and off. Certainly in my previous job I was always hopping in and out of different trucks. I didn't know I was going to be in that DAF, and I wasn't filming that day. If I do end up driving one of the new DAFs again, then I will do a video on it. Next question. I live semi-local to Bridgewater. Interested in how you get involved with a carnival club. Really, you need to pick a carnival club that you think you would like to join, get on board with, and go to their AGM. Most of the AGMs will be happening in the next few weeks. It would be worth finding a contact for the club and just finding out when their AGM is and putting your name forwards basically. So next question, would you recommend overnight trucking to other drivers starting out? I would do day work for a bit first. If you really hate it, you're not stuck in that truck 24/7. You can go home and think about what you really want. If you start and you love it straight away, then tramping could be an option. Or if you grew up around trucking and you used to go out with a family member all the time, chances are you will like it, or you'll know you'll like it, so it might be worth jumping straight in. Next question, when they tip the cab to do repairs, how much stuff in the cab gets thrown around? If you check the cab beforehand, nothing, hopefully. I've got cupboards up above rather than a bunk, so generally nothing will fall out of the cupboards. The cupboards are pretty sturdy and secure. The danger is when you have a top bunk, you chuck something up there and you forget it's up there. Next question, and I'm going to be very careful about the wording of this, as I know it's a bit of a delicate subject. What do you do about your monthly when on the road? Well, you know, it's one of them things that's a pain whether you're tramping or not. Luckily, I keep my own cab, so I keep plenty of stuff in here to sort that sort of thing out. It's quite well known that there are not enough facilities on the road, and it doesn't help when you go into places and they will only let you use some men's toilet with no facilities of that description, and you just have to make do basically. I think we've all been in a position at some point as a woman where it's happened quite unexpectedly and you've had to sort it out. There's a funny story of a friend of mine who ended up in a situation like that. She was out with no supplies on her, managed to find a toilet. The toilet had no loo roll, and the only thing she could think of using was her socks. So the socks had to take the fall on that instance. Next question, why doesn't the company you work for pay for parking and expect you to stay in lay-bys and industrial estates? We don't carry anything that anyone's going to nick. No one can do anything with the loads unless they have a mill, so that's why. Next question, is it a lonely life working as you do? I don't find it very lonely, to be fair. I'm quite happy spending time on my own. I think nowadays with social media and mobile telephones, where we can just ring whoever we want or contact whoever we want, it's never going to be that lonely. Next question, what could the UK do better to help truck drivers? I don't know if YouTube will let me put a video on that long to answer that question. The lack of parking and the lack of suitable facilities for truck drivers. Oh dear, the next one. Next question. So, of course you are a celebrity. Would you go in the jungle with Ant and Dec and do the whole get me out of here experience? Don't think I'll ever be that famous. And to be honest, I don't think I'd ever want to be that famous. I find the whole fame thing quite difficult. I'm a really creative person. I love creating the videos. I love the fact that they help people. Everything creative that I've done before has been part of a group, and you kind of get lost in a group. You're not really an individual that gets like well known or anything. So I do struggle with that a little bit. Next question is, what did you want to do when you were at school? So when I was at school, I wanted to be an Olympic gymnast. So if you're watching this and you're at school at the moment and all you want to be is an Olympic gymnast, you could potentially one day become a lorry driver. Next one. Hey Gemma, what is your dream car? A VW, either split screen, T2, something like that, but not with the original engine, because I don't fancy doing 0 to 60 in a weekend. Something a little bit quicker. Next question. Very difficult question. In fact, probably the most difficult question I will answer in this Q&A session. Do you prefer Wotsits or Quavers? How do you choose between those two? They're both cheesy, but one's like a cheesy cheese and the other's like a more mellow cheese. I don't know. I like them both equally. Next question. I've been on the road 26 years and every day is a school day. What can you show me that I don't know or haven't learnt? Probably nothing. It's one of those things, you do learn things every day, but it's down to the experiences you've had, and everyone's had different experiences. Possibly learning how to kick the back door open, like a Spice Girl. I could teach you that. Next question. Who is trucking around with Jono and why is he so great? Trucking Around with Jono is another YouTuber. He's part of the Road Legends group, who are all great YouTubers. He also works for Kane's Farm, which is a very good company and have helped me out when I've been broken down near their yard. Next question. When are we going to see you drive through Chard or Crewe Cairn, or do you ever come that way? We used to go to Chard quite a lot when there was a quarry there. Unfortunately, that quarry has shut down. We do go through Chard and Crewe Cairn every now and again. I used to go through there a lot when I was on the milk. Next question. Why do you have Flying Dutchman stickers in your window? The airbrushing on the back of my truck is Davy Jones from the Pirates of the Caribbean film. And also on that picture is his ship, which is called the Flying Dutchman. And that is why my truck is the Flying Dutchman. So next question, what got you interested in truck driving and what was the first lorry you were driving? Carnival got me into trucking. I wanted to drive the Carnival car, and the first truck I ever drove was a DAF. Next question. Not a fan of the Q&A on any YouTube videos. I find them horrid and boring. Bet you're fun at a dinner party. Next question. Have you ever thought about visiting the United States? Yes, I have. I have actually been to the United States. I went to Massachusetts and I met a lady truck over there and I went out in her Peterbilt for the week and went to the Gear Jammer truck show. Next question. Do you miss an 8 till 4 job? I don't think I've actually ever had an 8 till 4 job. Might be nice when I want to slow down a bit. Next question. What is your New Year's resolution? I think probably just to look after myself a bit better. I've noticed that my health is not as good as it was. So I think just generally looking after myself a bit better will be my New Year's resolution. Next question, what do you enjoy doing on your days off? I like doing carnival. I like seeing my friends, going for long walks, doing a bit of exercise. I'm one of them people, if I have time to myself, which I haven't had, it feels like, for years, I do like pottering around with little art projects. I'll find something to make. I'll find little projects. This is why, as part of our house, we're building quite a big garage, because I want to start doing little projects in my garage. There's a lot of new skills that I'd love to learn. I've always wanted to learn to weld. I've always seen art sculptures that have been welded together that I think are amazing. Sign writing, stuff like that, anything like that. So hopefully one day, when I have time, I will be able to do little projects in my garage. This question, how long have you driven trucks? It is coming up 15 years. Next question. From Ollie Blogs. Who is your favourite YouTuber? Well, I'm obviously going to have to say Ollie Blogs, as he's asked me. But no, some people you meet and you're not really sure whether they'll be the same in real life, and Ollie really is the same in real life as he is in his videos, and he has an absolutely lovely family, and it's a pleasure to park on his farm every now and again. Hopefully I'll be back up there soon at some point. I haven't been up in that area for a while. So, next one, did your father have any input into your being a truck driver? So my dad was a HGV mechanic before he retired, and he said that he didn't want me to be a truck driver because he knows what truck drivers are like. I think I know what he means by that now, but it's all right because I'm streetwise. Next question, is there a truck that you haven't driven that you would like to drive? Yeah, there's a few trucks actually. I've driven most makes of trucks. I've never driven a Renault actually. I'd love to have a go in a Renault Magnum just because they're so iconic and people have them and absolutely love them. And I want to know what all the fuss is about. I've never driven a Foden, so I wouldn't mind having a go in a Foden. I'd love to drive trucks that are classics or rare, like an F88 or a 95 500, or, you know, just to say that you've done it. I'd also like to have a go in like a Peterbilt or a Kenworth on a road in America or Australia or somewhere like that. Even a Peterbilt around a car park, but it's not really the same as letting it go on a road. Next question, what truck would you buy as an owner driver? Something reliable. There would be no other real stipulation other than something reliable, really. I'd love to buy a Scania. I wouldn't mind a Volvo, as long as it's reliable. To be honest, when you're thinking about your first truck, it has to just be reliable. It's got to make you money, and it's got to be reliable, and it's got to be suitable to the job. If I had the money, if I was successful, I know what truck I would buy. If I could buy something brand new, if I could customise it how I like, I would know exactly how I would customise it inside and out. But that is going to stay up there because I don't want anyone to nick my ideas. Right, that is it for the question and answer. I think I've answered all of the questions that I can. So it's quite a lot of doubles and triples of the questions. Really thankful to all of you who have stuck with me this past year. Hopefully in the coming year I can make the content even better, try and improve on things. I wanted to do this video in a way just as a massive thank you to everybody who has stuck with me. I hope that 2024 will be fantastic for all of you. On that note, I am going to have a week off next week, so there will not be a video out next Saturday. Sometimes it is really difficult because I do work away all week and I struggle to get the video edited by the Saturday. I will always do my best. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.